Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex. And today I want to talk to you guys about the Thor Ragnarok event quest and the pre-release event notification that we got from the inbox tab that you can reach by doing this, which hints at some new characters and some new uniforms. So I first wanted to discuss those 5 images at the top that you see there and what the implications are, what we can expect for new characters and new uniforms if they are to be believed, and then briefly go into the update coins and how you can expect to be able to spend them. So as far as these 5 images go, we're going to go from left to right. The one on the far left, closest to me, which is a sword, is Heimdall. That's Heimdall's Uru sword, and that indicates a new character, a brand new character. The second one is Hulk's kind of gladiator or warrior helmet, which obviously indicates we are getting a new uniform for our favorite green monster. Our third one is Hela and her kind of headdress, and that is directly taken from the movie, from Cate Blanchett's character, again hinting at a uniform. Fourth from the left, we have the horned helmet of Loki, which again indicates we're getting that knife-wielding Loki that we were so excited to see when we got the very first Thor Ragnarok trailer, when he's wielding, dual-wielding some knives, which looks really cool. And then the last one we have has caused a bit of speculation. That's the Odin Force, and it's kind of a little statue, and that appears both in Destroyer's gears and in Odin's gears. But if you know enough about the Asgard lore, Odin created Destroyer as this like enchanted armored thing to protect him and protect Asgard. So that's why you're having that kind of overlap. It doesn't mean we're getting a new uniform for Destroyer. At least I hope not. So we can first discuss Heimdall because he appears to be the only exciting part, or the most exciting part of this update, because he's a new character. And everybody likes new characters, right? Maybe. So I strongly suggest, or I strongly expect, Heimdall to be a universal type. And that's because he's an Asgardian, and he's not human, and although he's taken human form in the past, he's part of this whole tribunal. He's part of the Loki thing, he's part of the Thor thing, he's part of the Odin thing. If you don't know who Heimdall is, he's basically a guardian type person for Asgard. He is an extremely powerful Asgardian, and he basically lives to serve, not lives to serve, but he serves Odin, and he uses his super senses to protect Asgard from incoming attack. The only reason I would suggest or predict at all that he might not be a universal type is because of Sif. And Sif is actually his sister, and Sif, for whatever reason, was typed as a combat character, not as a universal. So yeah, there might be some changes there, but I think we deserve a universal type. At least I think so. But let me know in the comments what you guys think, whether he'll be a combat type or universal. I don't think he'll be any other type. As far as Heimdall's powers go, there is some rumor that he'll be a native tier 2, but I highly doubt that. I think he's just going to be a tier 1 built up to tier 2 non-native status, so you won't have to worry about black antimatter or phoenix feathers. Although, why would you use phoenix feathers for an Asgardian? I don't know. Anyways, aside from having a lot of the superhuman strength qualities and durabilities and stamina and agility that Asgardians have, Heimdall is known for his extremely strong senses and his ability to perceive things through time and space, sense incoming dangers, and kind of perceive things happening that maybe no one else or very few other people can perceive. Don't get me wrong, Heimdall is also an extremely powerful combatant. He's beaten Thor before. He's not as strong as Thor and Odin necessarily, but he is not far off. So you can see there from his power level that he's quite strong. I know that Thor and Odin are not comparable in this game in terms of power level, despite them being a bit more comparable in the comics, or at least there being less of a gap than there exists in this game. But I don't expect Heimdall to be introduced as a Ronin type character, or as a weaker type character like Captain Marvel or Clea. I expect Heimdall to be more powerful. I would say maybe a stronger version of Black Bolt at tier 2, perhaps even on par with some of the weaker native tier 2 Black Order characters like Black Dwarf or Ebony Maw. As far as his powers go, I do suspect if Netmarble wants to continue this theme of Pierce. That Heimdall may have a Pierce ability similar to the passive effects that we've seen on the new X-Men that we got. Well, they're not really X-Men, but you know, Quicksilver, Wanda, and Cable. And I say that because of his perceptive abilities and his, you know, his ability to kind of see things as they are and not as the illusions may make them out to be. So that might give him, you know, that chance to penetrate through all of the kind of effects. That may also give him a debuff effect. That may give him a couple of other effects. I would probably guess that he was going to deal physical damage or be a physical attacker. I hope so. We don't have too many good physical attacking universal types. Black Dwarf, holla holla. But probably, as most Asgardians, he'll end up being an energy damage dealing character. The second character on the list is the helmet for Hulk, which indicates that we are getting a kind of warrior gladiator uniform for Hulk. What Hulk desperately needs is just more damage and better skills to round out his kit, because his skills, whether you put on his Maestro uniform or whether you put on his World War Hulk uniform, they're just really bad. There's no iframes, there's no invincibility, there's no effects at all, and there's no movement. He just smash, smash, smash. And I understand that that's kind of what Hulk does, but if he's not going to have any flavor text, if he's not going to have any kind of effects on any of his skills, a la Quicksilver, then he needs to have powerful skills. They need to have very powerful effects, almost like a giant tornado made out of blue wind and buses, like Quicksilver, or a massive iframe where you dart back and forth and you hit the enemy like 40 times, like Quicksilver. Hulk has extremely good survivability now with his latest update that he got a few months back, so he doesn't need any help in that regard, but he desperately needs a tune-up both in the damage numbers that he does. He definitely doesn't do enough damage to be known as the Incredible Hulk, and he also doesn't have enough of an interesting skill set. It's just very boring, very bland. Oftentimes, even with his World War Hulk uniform, it's hard to tell which of his skills you're doing because they all look the same. They take his character model and they just smash his character model into the enemy, and his arms kind of flail around and he grunts. I admit, they are capturing the essence of Hulk, but at the same time, he deserves better. I do expect this uniform to finally fix Hulk, so I will be very disappointed and salty if Netmarble drops the ball again. They've made two bad Hulk uniforms based on two very popular versions of Hulk. They now have a lesser version of Hulk to utilize, which is kind of like an amalgamation of different types of Hulks, and it seems reminiscent of World War Hulk. If they drop the ball 3 times in a row, you're going to see some green from me. Next up, we have Hela's uniform, which a lot of people are very excited for because Hela is a very popular character, despite the fact that she's quite bad in this game. And so I think the developers do have a lot of challenge. They have a lot of work to do with her uniform to make her usable. I don't think it's as big of a gap as someone like Venom needed from his uniform with anti-venom to jump up from kind of 0 to hero, but Hela definitely needs a huge spike in her survivability. I think if the uniform needs to give her one thing, it is survivability. Whether she gets an auto-activated invincibility effect when her health drops, whether she gets a heal to one of her skills that changes it, whether she gets invincibility, she definitely needs something big like that. 4 or 5 seconds of some kind of immunity or invincibility, or a big like 15 to 30% heal when a skill is triggered or when something happens to kind of keep her going. It would be nice to see some skill changes as well, because some of her skills are just really bad, like her 4th skill, which looks like it's an iframe, but it's really not an iframe. She just levitates, but you can still hit her. Things like that should really be changed, and some of the damage numbers could definitely afford to go up, because despite the fact that she uses her own leadership most of the time, and with 45% increased energy damage, she still deals pretty pathetic numbers. Her clones do next to nothing. They just kind of distract like a bunch of flies. And so I think that she also needs some skill and damage reworks, but I think if there's only one thing I can choose for Hela that the majority of you would agree on that she needs, it's survivability. Second to last, we have the Loki uniform. And some people have speculated that Loki is going to become a speed character with this new knives uniform, but I doubt it. I think he'll stay as a universal type, but I think that there's an opportunity here for Loki to become a totally different character, and that would be really exciting because Loki is a pretty interesting character who has a long history in this game. And I think that his current skill set with the clones and the shield and the astral projection is really cool. I wouldn't actually change this one, but it would be really nice to see, and I would really like it if Netmarble gave him kind of like a totally different playstyle. So with this new uniform, they totally got rid of his clones, or maybe they had one clone that would trigger on a passive effect and kind of just dart out from his body and hit a couple times and then disappear. So there would be more frequent use of clones, and it would kind of be a passive clone effect, but there wouldn't be multiple clones, and the clones wouldn't be the source of his damage the way they are now. By doing that, you're effectively creating a whole new character, but you're imbuing it with the same attributes and the same progression as original Loki has. And that has a twofold positive effect. For one, you're benefiting the vast majority of the community that's already invested in Loki, whether at tier 1 or tier 2. So everyone's going to be happy. No one's going to hate that. And then for two, you're essentially creating a new character, which is really exciting, but it already has the likeness of and the likability of someone like Loki. And everyone basically loves Loki, so it would be awesome to see that. I guarantee you 95% of the community would buy that uniform if it was as good as this Loki, but somehow completely different, with different skill set, different play style, you know, lots of movement, some skills, maybe some bleed effects. I know bleed sucks, but still. And if it utilized the knives pretty effectively, some iframes where he's throwing them or something like that, he levitates them, I don't know, kind of like Cable but no meditation. I think that would be amazing, and I think I would probably mythic that uniform pretty quickly, and I think it would be pretty badass, if I say so myself. But let me know what you guys think of the Loki uniform, what you expect from it. And finally, we'll touch down on Odin. Very quickly though, for Destroyer, if we go over to his gear page, you'll be able to see that you do have that little Odin icon that may have confused some people in his gear slot. Well, they actually removed it with this Prometheus uniform, but if you equip his classic one, you'll see the Odin's enchantment. That is just because Odin made him, but the fifth or the final kind of icon in that teaser pre-release thing that they have in the notice is definitely about Odin. It's not about Destroyer. So we can expect a uniform for Odin, and I'm personally expecting the kind of purplish cape uniform with the spear that Odin has used from time to time in some of the comics. That look, it's one of his more popular looks, it's one of his more powerful iterations, and it would serve to update the character's skills and change them around, you know, in a meaningful way, because giving him a new uniform but keeping all of his skills the same usually doesn't work. And we are expecting, because he's a native tier 2, that his uniform is going to be A, more expensive, and therefore B, actually worth it. We still have the sour, disgusting, bitter taste in our mouth over Wolverine's uniform, which is basically just a reskin with no meaningful changes to the skills, and it was as expensive as a tier 2 character, costing upwards of 3,000 Phoenix Feathers, which is insanity. So I don't recommend, nor do I expect Netmarble to drop the ball again and give us a lackluster native tier 2 uniform. If they do, they better price that baby at 750 crystals, because if it costs a lot, like more than 1,000, like Wolverine's, like Thanos's, but it doesn't have the effects of Thanos's and it has more of the style of Wolverine's, there's going to be a huge uproar from the community. And especially there will be an uproar from the ABX community, because you bet your butt that Odin is going to maintain his status as the top universal hero for that 4th day of Extreme Alliance battle. And giving him a bad uniform and forcing us to upgrade it just to keep our scores, like you did with Wolverine, is a dirty practice, and I don't want to see it again so soon after Wolverine. So I don't have high expectations for this Odin uniform, but I do have some minimum expectations that I've just outlined. Let me know what you guys expect from Odin's uniform and what you would like to see, and hopefully at least some of us will be right. Finally, I wanted to address the event quest and these different objectives that we have to complete every day for these coins. You definitely want to collect all of these tokens every single day. You're going to get a total of 80 per day, and this is on for a total of 7 or 8 days, so you will get a total of 640 event tokens, and then you'll be able to spend them on a event shop that will open after. So presumably after 7 days and 1 hour from now, we will have the update, and then after that you'll be able to use these tokens in the shop, and the shop will have a few different items. As you can see here, we have biometrics for Thor, which I assume are going towards a new Thor uniform, although that wasn't advertised. We're obviously going to get a new Thor uniform. Biometrics for a new character, which I would guess would be Heimdall, but maybe another character altogether, like Scourge or something like that. And then we have Norn stones, which are for the new players, and then we have hidden tickets, which are just kind of like a extra splash on the end. Because of the cost and because of the quantity that you can purchase, assuming that that one is a quantity overall and not a quantity per day, you should be able to purchase everything in the store given the amount of tokens you have and the amount of tokens that everything costs. So that's pretty cool. Overall, I would say that I'm pretty excited for this event quest, but I have to rein in my expectations because of the Age of Apocalypse update, which was kind of a debacle. I'm not going to do that to myself again and be disappointed by hyping myself up for something that ends up being lackluster. But I don't want to take the wind out of your sails. So let me know if you're hyped or not for Thor Ragnarok, what you're most excited to see, if it's a new uniform or a new character, what other new characters you think may be hiding and lurking in this update that we haven't seen, because Netmarble does like to surprise us, and any other thoughts or feelings you have about this update. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Subscribe if you're having a good time, and of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.